On the 24th of March 2007, in the city of Chiba, Japan, 23-year-old Lindsay went missing, and what police uncovered in the following days was not only disturbing but leading to a 3-year-long manhunt. Lindsay was from a town called Coventry, England. She was born on December 13, 1984 and was well loved in her community. She did really well academically and graduated from the University of Leeds with a first class honor grade in biology in 2006. Lindsay decided she wanted to take a year off to travel before going for her master's degree. In October that year, she signed up to Nova Teaching School and left from the beautiful country of Japan. After landing in Japan, Lindsay was assigned to Koiba, a district in Edogawa, Tokyo. She lived slightly further east in a city called Chiba because the rent was cheaper, and she moved in with two other Nova school teachers who quickly became friends with her during her time in Japan. Lindsay made sure to keep in regular contact with her family and boyfriend back in England through Facebook, WhatsApp, Skype, texts, and calls. She was enjoying her time in Japan and everything was seemingly going well. 6 months into her stay in March 2007, Lindsay had a strange encounter after finishing work for the day. She took the train back to Chiba station where she usually keeps her bicycle. Whilst unlocking her bike, she was approached from behind by a man who greeted her with the words, "You are my English teacher." This didn't sit right with Lindsay because she was adamant he was not one of her students. So she politely left the conversation and got on her bicycle to ride back to her apartment. The man started to follow her. When she speeded up her pace, he ran after her. Whilst trying to get away from the man, he kept asking questions like, "Where are you from? And where did you study?" Lindsay could not shake the man off and eventually stopped her bike outside her apartment, where she was once again approached by him. He asked if she'd be willing to give him English lesson because he felt like he needed some help with the language. He offered to meet in a public cafe so she was comfortable and he would pay generously by the hour. Lindsay refused as she was too busy with her work and hardly got any free time to herself. The man seemed disappointed but accepted her answer. He then asked if she'd be so kind to give him a glass of water as she was thirsty from chasing her down. Very kindly, Lindsay agreed and let him in. She wanted her housemate to see his face in case it came up again in the future, and she also wanted to show that she did not live alone, so it would deter the man if she was planning anything. Once inside, he asked Lindsay for lesson again, but this time he said he'd pay $32 an hour. This time Lindsay accepted because she could not refuse the easy money he was offering, and she arranged to meet him at a coffee shop. A few days later, the man was grateful, and before leaving, he took out a pen and a scrap piece of paper and started scribbling. He passed the note to her, and to her surprise, it was a drawing of her. Tetsuya was a 20-year-old man from the city of Ichikawa, but moved to Chiba. He wanted to follow in his father's footsteps in becoming a medical doctor, but when he was denied access to further his education, he settled for a degree in horticulture for the University of Chiba in 2005. However, once graduating, he never made an effort to find work and instead lived off an allowance of $920 a month. From his parents, he had no previous conviction with the law, but he had been a previous suspect in an allegation of theft and assault. Allegedly, Tetsuya had assaulted a woman on the street during a robbery, but his father paid the woman 1 million yen to settle the matter outside of court. Tetsuya was regularly described as a loner with an obsession with physical fitness. He'd often to go his local gym the cycle over 25 kilometers every day. Saturday, 24th of March 2007. Lindsay and Tetsuya have their first lesson together in a local coffee shop. CCTV captured them conversing together in the queue to a buy a drink, and Lindsay did not look uncomfortable, but she was making an effort to keep distance between the two of them, and you can see her stepping away from him if he got too close. The lesson took a little over an hour, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. At the end of the lesson, Tetsuya said he forgot to bring the money to pay her, and said she could come by his apartment to collect her payment, as he only lived a half mile down the road. Lindsay agreed and they got into a taxi together. Once at Tetsuya home, Lindsay asked the driver if he would mind waiting as she would not be long and had to go to work. That afternoon, the driver accepted and both Tetsuya and Lindsay disappeared into the building. After several minutes, she had not come back out, and the driver assumed she changed her plan and left. Lindsay never turned up to work that afternoon, and after multiple hours of not showing up at home, her roommate decided to call the police and report her missing, but they did not take it seriously. When she did not clock in at work on the Monday, Nova Teaching School contacted her parents in England to inform them. They knew something was wrong and the police were called again. The search of Lindsay started at her apartment, and when they questioned her roommates, they told police of the strange man she had a lesson with that day and handed them the sketch of Lindsay with his detail on them. At 5:40 p.m. on Monday, 26th of March, the two police officers dispatched of Tetsu's apartment. When they knocked on the door, nobody answered. However, Tetsuya never was kind enough to allow them on their balcony, so they could look over into his living room. All the lights were off, but someone definitely seemed to be lurking inside. They noticed his detachable bathtub had been moved from his bathroom to his balcony, which seemed odd. The officer assumed Lindsay was being held hostage in Tetsu's apartment and immediately called for backup. After 3 hours, 9 officers had turned up and they started planning the raid of his home. As they were preparing to charge the apartment, Tetsuya opened the door barefoot with a rock. He took advantage of the officer panic and stormed past all 9 of them in an attempt to grab him. They managed to snatch in rucksack, but unfortunately Tetsuya managed to get away and disappeared into the night. When searching Tetsu's apartment, they found the naked body of Lindsay Hawker in the bathtub. On the balcony, he had completely covered her with a mixture of soil and sand. The only pieces of her showing was her right hand hanging out of the tub. Upon further investigation, they found that Tetsuya had put a decomposition agent in the soil mixture and put flower seed on the top. To disguise it as a flower bed, he had shaved all of Lindsay's hair off. Police also found multiple women with scattered around the accommodation, which led them to believe Tetsuya was a cross-dresser. When this became public knowledge, rumors started to circulate that he killed her to make her hair into a wig, but this was never confirmed. But the next morning, Tetsuya was officially a wanted man all across Japan. Police distributed wanted posters and showed his face on several news outlets multiple times a day, but nothing came of it. After a couple weeks and no leads, police released Photoshop picture of Tetsuya in wig, just in case he was not in drag and nobody had recognized him. Again, nothing came of his, and his trial had gone cold. 2 months after Lindsay's death, her parents arrived in Japan to assist in raising awareness to find Tetsuya because they believed the police were getting lazy in their searches. Her father even befriended members of the Yakuza Japanese mafia with bottle of whiskey to ask for assistance in finding his daughter's killer. The media turned the spotlight to the Japanese police and started to question their competence. How did 9 police officers fail to apprehend one man when they were preparing to raid his home? Why did they take a month to question vital witnesses? Did they know their wanted picture was 7 years out of date? The police and Lindsay Hawker family started to publicly argue with one another, which led to the heavy involvement of both British and Japanese media. While this was happening, Tetsuya had traveled across most of the country, ranging from Aomori, the most northern city in Japan, to the most southern island in Okinawa. In the year 2008 to 2009, Tetsuya was living in Osaka, 250 miles west of Tokyo. He was sleeping in internet cafe and work on construction site to get by and save up whatever money possible to get plastic surgery to convert his face. However, he had already changed his face through cell mutilation. He had cut off the moles on his face with a knife, used scissors to cut off part of his lower lip and swing a thread through his nose to alert its chef. In summer of 2009, police were getting desperate and raised the cash reward from 1 million yuan to 10 million yuan, along with more Photoshop pictures stating that he had most probably gotten plastic surgery. In October 2009, a plastic surgeon informed police that he believed had worked on Tetsuya recently and he'd taken up before and after photo, which was quickly released to the public. This proved to be successfully, as colleague on the construction site Tetsuya was working to recognize him and inform police. In a state of panic, he planned to flee to Okinawa and find an abandoned bunker on one of its remote islands, which he had done many times before when he felt police were getting too close. 10th of November 2009. Tetsuya made a run for Osaka ferry port and tried to keep his head down. All he had to do was not be angry on the ferry for 3 days and he would have gotten away again. Unfortunately for him, a staff member of the port recognized him and instructed security to call police. When police arrived and asked his name, he knew had been catched and said the word, "Just it is me, Tetsuya Ishihashi." He was arrested on the spot. He was initially charged with abandoning a body. 2 other charges was later brought to him for rape and murder. 4th of July 2011, Tetsuya Ishihashi trial began. Due to the nature of the crime, deliberation didn't last long and admitted that he enticed Lindsay into his home, raped her and strangled her because he was afraid his neighbor would hear her scream and get him in trouble. Most of the media coverage from this time was around how the court system would punish him, as Japan still enforced the death penalty. However, not many single-person murders to meet that fate. Many voices were campaigning for Tetsuya to meet the death penalty, but on the 21st of July 2009, he was sentenced to life in imprisonment, serving a minimum of 10 years before the possibility of parole. In 2012, Tetsuya appealed his sentencing and his lawyer argued and he was sentenced to harshly and repeated their claim that the death was accidental. As he was just trying to muffle Lindsay's scream, the Tokyo High Court appealed the original sentencing. However, Tetsuya continued the torment. The Hawker family was writing a book detailing his time on the run from his prison cell. The book was popular in Britain and sold over 10 lakh copies. He offered Lindsay parents the royalty money, but they refused. The book was so successful that the story was made into a film called I Am Ishihashi, the Journal of a Killer in 2022. He is still in prison.